All right, folks, at the time of this filming, it is December 31st, 2023. We're moving into 2024. And I just wanted to do a quick rundown on some of the things I think potentially could be occurring in the upcoming year. It's going to be real fast. I'm just going to hit a couple of the bullet points and then you can move on with your day. Right off the top, number one thing I feel is going to be a major issue for 2024 is going to be cyber attacks. Cyber attacks on the financial system. You may have a situation where the news reports about coordinated cyber attacks disrupting major banks and other financial institutions, causing temporary shutdowns of those institutions, those facilities, those offices, which of course would lead to businesses and individuals not being able to receive or send money, pull money out, things of that sort. It may not specifically hit, the big names. It might be smaller banks, smaller outlets, but again, it could be something that daisy chains from one to the next one to the next one. And erring on the side of caution, a lot of these institutions which do receive cyber attacks on a regular basis may just simply shut down and close up until they can either be confident that they can handle any potential attack coming in or figure out what the attacks are and how they're getting in. So you have to be aware that there could be a potential bank run, as it were, when people start hearing those news reports about multiple attacks in that area. People are going to start pulling out the money and trying to get as much of their funds physically in their hand as possible, because everything from the point of sale systems at registers for retail to automatic transfers and deposits may not work. Next thing up, sleeper cells, foreign actors, even domestic terrorists. We're looking at possible anti-government actions targeting specific government facilities, government institutions, but also infrastructure is a key thing. It might be an attack on a water supply system, could be attack on the rail systems, communication networks, physical attacks on cell towers, power transformers, things of that sort. Anything to disrupt the normal flow of, communication, movement, and life here in the United States. And that could be in coordination with similar attacks that might go on in Europe and in Asia and several other locations. The potential effect for that is, of course, loss of power, loss of communication, questionable health hygiene situations when it comes to the water supply, the restrictions of movements through or around certain areas, especially if you have train derailments or you have activity on highways and major intersections where a lot of trucking goes through, or at the shipping ports, things of that sort. So that can then cause a domino effect to delay goods getting from one point to the next, where people can actually go to basically get supplies if need be. The movement of our normal, basically, consumer market system from point A to point B will all get interrupted. And again, if there's some type of coordination with overseas activity, if you remember what happened with the Suez Canal, and that was just an accident with one cargo ship, you multiply that by several different ports around the world, making it difficult, as it already is right now, for ships to navigate through the open waters. It's going to be even more difficult, causing more delays on supplies coming into the U.S. Number three, this one is, it's a 50-50. Political unrest, we've already got that. But specifically to the point of a candidate not being placed on the ballot, or not being placed on multiple ballots for states that, irregardless of being able to actually run in the election, there would not be enough votes from that situation that would basically garner that candidate's chances of winning being close to zero. That's going to cause some problems. That's going to cause some political unrest, because at that point, individual state governments are taking it upon themselves to remove the ability for an individual to participate in our electoral system. Unless the Supreme Courts come in and they definitively say, hey, this is legal because, or this is illegal because, it can basically be a light switch that gets turned on and off. One state will say, we're banning this person. Another state says, oh, we're not going to do that. And then the courts come in, tell this one state you can't do that. Then another state says, well, we're going to do it. And it keeps going back and forth. So until the Supreme Court makes a ruling stating that this is how it goes, like it or not, this is what the actions are going to be, we're going to see this type of activity going on, especially as we get into the beginning part of the year, moving towards the middle area, probably April, May, June, in that period, because at that point, politically speaking, most candidates need to either be on the ballot and know that they're there and they're moving their campaign forward, or they're just going to pack up their bags and go. With that being said, another issue is, given the current state of uneasiness in the Oval Office, there's a potential for Article 25, which is the removal of the president due to health, safety concerns, things like that. The last time it was actually used was when the attempted assassination on President Reagan had occurred. They swore in the vice president for that particular reason, because there's a potential that while he was alive, possibility of dying during the surgery or dying afterwards, or being left in a state of incapacitation where he would not be able to perform his duties. In our current situation with the current president, it is what it is, but there's a greater potential that as these weeks go on and as the stress levels increase for the activities that a president is under, there's a great chance that Article 25 could be implemented for that reason, to quietly and safely remove that person from office, putting the vice president in charge. Now, going on to the next one, our global conflicts. It's not to point a finger at any particular country, but they're watching the news, they have their intelligence agencies. If they see that the United States has been hit by multiple cyber attacks that have interrupted its financial system, interrupted its transportation, its infrastructure, they see that there is current political unrest similar to the political disturbances that went on in 2016 and in 2020, but on a much higher, broader level, more intense level. If they can see that there is distrust amongst the citizens for what the government is doing or failing to do, and at that point, while the United States is still a formidable and dominable force globally in the military, it would be more in their interest, saying, for example, Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, and multinational groups of terrorists and things like that, to then start moving and doing activities abroad. Because while we do have military all over the world, having an active military all over the world and a stable, secure United States is completely different than having active military all over the world and the entire United States is on fire. Forces, energy, resources are going to have to be redirected. And even though we make commitments, we make promises, we're not going to be able to protect the entire world while literally our house is on fire. So the opportunities for certain countries to take actions at that point, after the fact, when they see all of those things lined up in a row, would be to their advantage, rather than making a move right now where we are still presently focused and able to concentrate on each individual threat as it pops up. Sort of like a whack-a-mole. Our eyes are open and, we're bopping them down one after the other. But if you're blindfolded and you can't see what's going on, you're just swinging and you're going to miss more often than not. So these are just some of the things I feel coming up in 2024. And it's not to say these exact things. It's not to say in any particular order. I just feel that as things have progressed and you can look back, there's a certain flow to the way things go, whether it's just sheer coincidence, synchronicity, but one leads to the next one, leads to the next one, leads to the next one. And that's where I think 2024 is going to go. And again, I could be completely wrong. I've been wrong before, no doubt about that. But that's what I have for this year. And that's where I'm looking at, thinking about the things that are going on. So in preparation for those things, those areas you need to look at in your own personal life, your basic resources, your mobility, your plan of escape, your plan to stay in, whatever the case may be, start thinking on those broad aspects of what happens if you actually go to check your bank account and you can't log on, or you can't get money out the ATM. You go down and you find a sign on the door from the supermarket stating that their suppliers' distribution center is shut down and no new supplies are coming in. Things like that can happen pretty quickly. And at that point, a lot of people will panic and they'll start getting a little loose in the morals, and things tend to get out of hand very quickly after that. And in order to compensate that, a lot of times the government comes in with a big fist, heavy hand, smashing and bashing everything and everyone without regards to what is or is not the appropriate way to handle it. So it's just something to think about, and catch you in the next one.